Today really is a very important day for us as a church, as we have commissioned John to be our associate pastor here at Moriah. It's an important day for us as a fellowship. It's an important day for me personally. And I wanted to take a few moments this morning to try and paint a word picture of a relationship in ministry for Marc, Owen and John Hayward as we together try to give pastoral leadership to the people of God who are Moriah Baptist Church. It's a picture that in many ways should shape our goals for one another, John, as co-workers for Christ, and also, I ask, would shape your prayers for us as brothers in this task. And the picture comes from the words of Joab, David's mighty man of battle, there in that passage that Sean read to us from 2 Samuel chapter 10. Now, you'll perhaps know the background, perhaps not, but here in this passage, the king of the Ammonites has died, and his son Hanun ruled in his place. David wanted to show kindness to Hanun, so he sent delegates to express his sympathies, his consolation to the new king for the loss of his father. In those days, he couldn't get in touch with Moonpig to send a sympathy card, so he turns up himself and, doesn't turn up, so sends a delegation to do it for him. But Hanun is convinced by his princes that actually this is a scurrilous plot and David's intent was evil. So far from sending something from Interflora or Moonpig or whatever, he's actually out to topple him. And so the response, is that he humiliates the delegates that have been sent to him. 2 Samuel chapter 10, verse 2. When David's men came to the land of the Ammonites, the Ammonite nobles said to Hanun their lord, "Do you think that David is honoring your father by sending men to you to express sympathy? Hasn't David sent them to you to explore the city and spy it out and overthrow it?" So Hanun seized David's men, shaved off half of the men's beards, and cut off their garments in the middle at the buttocks, and sent them away. Now my text this morning is, he cut off their garments in the middle at the buttocks. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Have you ever heard a sermon on that text? John, have you ever preached on that text? I was hoping that you'd say, yes, Mark, there are 3 points. Wouldn't that be brilliant? That's a great bit of Bible, isn't it? Don't you think? Can you just imagine that? You guys, it's Movember. Next year we're going to do it together, yeah? If you women want to join in, God bless you. But we'll grow moustaches, all right? It's a brilliant, brilliant thing. But can you imagine shaving half of it off? That's humiliating. There's only one man here this morning, I think, who's got a beard. That's you, sir. Okay, so we're going to shave half your beard. If you'd like to come to the front, it wouldn't be a nice thing. And the humiliation then of cutting off their garments in the middle at the buttocks and sending you back. Well, no wonder that they were told, look, stay at Jericho till your beards have grown, and then you come back. This is humiliating. This is a terrible, terrible thing. Understandably, David was very angry. And when the Ammonites heard about his anger, they sent for help to the Arameans to build an offensive against Israel. And when David hears that this has happened, he sent Joab and all the mighty men to fight against the Ammonites. And as it developed, the Ammonites, you'll see in that passage, gather at the walled city to protect it. The Arameans are gathered in the open field. And Joab, with the Israelites, is kind of sandwiched in the middle, with nowhere to run. So Joab took charge of one group of men and set himself against the Arameans, and the rest of his men he put under the leader of Abishai, his brother, and he set them against the Ammonites. And then in verses 11 and 12, Joab gives this great word of challenge and faith to Abishai. And John, this is my word, I honestly believe, from the Lord for you and for me as we seek to serve the Lord together here. And it's this word: if the Arameans are too strong for me, you come to my rescue. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will come to rescue you. Be strong. Let us fight bravely for our people and the cities of our God. The Lord will do what is good in his sight. What a vision of teamwork, isn't it? What a vision of teamwork. There are 6 things, very briefly, that these words demonstrate, I think, for us, that characterize every effort of team ministry in the Christian church. And I just want to mention them and hold each one up briefly to challenge us all, recognizing that team is all of us. We're all in this together. Team, T.E.A.M. Together, everyone achieves more. Can you remember that? We must work together. We must work together. All teamwork from this passage, I think, should be characterized by 6 things. Number 1, humility. 2, diversification. 3, mutual helpfulness. 4, strength. 5, benefit to God's people. And 6, surrender to God's sovereign guidance. Let me just unpack those a little bit very quickly. First of all, humility. It's interesting what he says, isn't it? I mean, just think about that again. If the Arameans are too strong for me, then you come to my rescue. Joab was a mighty warrior, but not so foolish as to think himself wholly self-sufficient. What he's basically saying is here, Abishai, my brother, I might not be able to do this by myself. And he wasn't ashamed to ask for help. Now that is countercultural to our day and age, isn't it? In this day and age, we are encouraged to be incredibly self-sufficient people. We have to have the right skills, we must develop the right qualities, we must pass the right examinations, hold the right certificates, and all so that we hold position and we can do what we're meant to do. And yet here he is, this fighting man, and he says, I'm not persuaded I can do this by myself. So here's what I need from you, brother. If it's getting too tough for me, come and help me. Come and help me. He wasn't ashamed to ask for that. See, humility willingly acknowledges its own finitude and need. It's open to be helped. It's open to being taught. It doesn't resent good advice or counsel. One of the reasons that humility is an absolute essential in team ministry is that no long-lasting unity is possible without it. If you've got a Bible with you, turn with me to Ephesians chapter 4. This is a wonderful passage that's often used when we talk about ministry within the Christian church. And this is what Paul says. As a prisoner for the Lord, chapter 4 and verse 1, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you've received. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There's one body, one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all. Look carefully at the sequence of the qualities that Paul highlights for us there. The order is very significant. One leads to the other. The goal, you'll see, is unity in the bond of peace. But you can't have unity unless you can put up with each other. That's literally what it means to endure with each other. To endure with each other's failures and idiosyncrasies. I am perfect, but John, I know you've got amazing idiosyncrasies. Yeah? John, I'm not perfect. Neither are you. We're going to have to learn to bear with one another. And it's the same for all of us. In this together, we need to learn that by working together, sometimes we'll rub each other up the wrong way. God help you when you do. But it's going to happen. We're not always going to be, getting along fine. There are going to be times when maybe something happens and you think, oh, I don't know about that. Or maybe we do something. That's life. That's what it is to be in a family. Not everything my kids do brings a smile to my face. Does it, heck? Yeah? You can identify with that? So we learn, don't we, that we've got to put up with each other. You can't have unity unless you do that. You can't endure with each other if you're not patient. You can't do any of that if you have a hair trigger in the rifle of your emotions. But you can't avoid a hair trigger in your emotions unless you're meek and lowly. The proud person will be resentful and impatient. So humility is essential for patience, and patience for forbearance, and forbearance for unity. So note that, if you're an underliner, underline that passage from Ephesians 4. Look at the order again and again. Live the life worthy of the calling you've received. Be completely humble, gentle, patient, bearing with one another in love. Every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit. That's how it will happen if we are humble and gentle. And here we see humility. We see this mighty warrior saying, I don't think I can do this by myself. If it gets too much for me, please come and help me. This is very important for us, for you and for me, John, and for all the rest of us. If we are to be united, we must, by God's grace, be humble. The second characteristic of team ministry, illustrated by Joab, is diversification. Abishai was sent against the Ammonites. Joab went against the Arameans. It's a very wise battle strategy when the enemy is widespread and diverse. You don't engage all your troops in one place. It's better and wiser to have people spread out a little bit. So you're managing, this flank and managing that flank, and you're watching what's happening ahead, and you're aware of what's happening behind. It's also wise to have everyone doing, most of the time, what they're best at. It's a solid biblical principle that God has given us all a different combination of gifts. But together, it works. That's a brilliant thing. So you turn to 1 Corinthians and chapter 12. If you just want to turn there. 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 4. You read in this passage that I'm sure you know well, there are different kinds of gifts. The same Spirit. There are different kinds of service. The same Lord. Different kinds of working. The same God works all of them in all men. Now to each one, the manifestation of the Spirit is given. Why? For the common good. To one there's given through the Spirit the message of wisdom, to another the message of knowledge, and so he goes on. There's an awful temptation amongst people in general, and especially, dare I say it, in us ministers, to think of our varied gifts as making us in some way inferior. John has been in the ministry a lot longer than me. Somebody said to me on my induction day, big shoes to fill. Do you know what I said to them? I'm not here to fill his shoes. And look at him, he's agreeing with me. I'm not here to fill his shoes. It's not what this is about. We recognize that we're different. John's got gifts I haven't got. I've got looks that John will never have. I can't say I've got gifts he hasn't got. But that's the truth. I've got gifts you haven't got. But together, we can work for the common good. Together, with all of you, we can actually start to watch, right, how can we tackle that issue there in our community? Oh, hang on a minute, there's a problem over here. Okay, John, you take a group of people. You've got those. Okay, you go with those people over there then. You tackle that. And so. Or maybe you could, I tell you what, who's doing the children's work? There's some people upstairs at the moment with the junior church. Let's get some of them to explore. Do you see how it all works? It's not that one person has to do it all. We're working together recognizing our diversity. We're humble enough to say, I can't do it all. You come and help me. And we understand there's a diversity so that people have different gifts. Joab can't say to Abishai, look, I've got no need of you. Owen cannot say to Haywood, I've got no need of you. One of the greatest thrills for me as the pastor here at Moriah is that John has stayed. I've said that publicly many, many times, and I will continue to say it, because I recognize I cannot do this by myself. Everyone on the team is essential. Every one of the diaconate, essential. Every one of you members, essential. Every one of you musicians, essential. Every one of you folk on the technical side of stuff, essential. Everyone who's upstairs in junior church, in the creche, essential. All of us working together. Do you see that? It's not rocket science, is it? But it's all here in this little passage where men get half their beards shaved off. The third characteristic of good team ministry is mutual helpfulness. Notice again, if the Arameans are too strong for me, then you are to come to my rescue. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I'll come to rescue you. See, diversification in the church is not so ironclad that we can't leave our appointed stations to help one another. Fundamental to all successful teamwork is that the team members be for each other, not against each other. Competition in Christian ministry is an anathema to the Spirit of God. My goal must be that John Haywood fulfills all that God has for him as a precious child of God and as a called and gifted minister. John's goal for me must be the same. And our priority, our goal as ministers here in Moriah must be for you. That you also will fulfill all that God has for you. All that he has gifted you for. All that he has purposed for you. When he knit you together in your mother's womb. And when he said, yes, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Go and serve me. On this point, a warning is in order. There will always be people who are factious and will try to align themselves with one pastor against another. They gain a sense of power and significance from seemingly being in the inner circle of one leader over against another leader. I'll tell you now, that will never happen, will it, John? It will never happen here in this church, by God's grace. There will be no Haywood party and no Owen party. Because Owen and Haywood will be much in prayer together before their one Lord, Jesus Christ. And our goal will be to help each other, not to compete with each other. And I say that to you publicly this morning as we've commissioned John for this work and as we understand that we are involved in mutual helpfulness. The fourth characteristic of effective team ministry is strength. Joab says to Abishai, verse 12, be strong. Be strong. Let's fight bravely. One translation says, be of good courage. I love that, don't you? Be of good courage, chaps. It's the sort of thing, this is Second World War films, isn't it? Yes, going to fight the Germans, never mind, be of good courage. Tea and biscuits on the way, I think. More literally, the Hebrew simply says, be strong and show yourselves strong. These guns are licensed. Right, Steve? That's what it's about. It's about being strong, showing you're strong. We are not here to be walked over. In society, people may give not a second thought to the Christian church. Sometimes it's because we don't shout loud enough. Sometimes it's because we don't stand up for truth. And I want to encourage you as your pastor. I'm into standing up for truth. I'm into standing up and saying, come on, let's make a difference. Let's do something. Let's not just sit back. Let's show ourselves to be strong. Be strong in the Lord and in his strength. Put on the whole armor of God that you'll be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, Paul says in Ephesians 6. The power we need doesn't come from within ourselves. It's the strength of God. Seeing Colin here this morning, sorry to single you out, Col, but one of the things that I've loved over the last few weeks is when I've been talking to them and they've just been so aware of God's presence. Debs has described the prayers that this church has been offering and the prayers of friends that they have all over the place, just being like a force field. Do you know, if we could just grab hold of that. God's power, God's strength is ours. And when you put on God's armor, you get God's strength, you get his power. And I pray that God will give us the ability to serve him, recognizing it's not just what we can do, it's about him working in us. So John, may God grant us both spiritual power as we serve him together in this place. May we never flag in courage and zeal. May we work, as Joab goes on to say, for our people and for the cities of our God. The fifth characteristic, I'm coming to the end. I want a cup of tea and that drill's driving me mad. The fifth characteristic of good team ministry. The benefit to God's people. I love that bit at the end. It often gets left out. Joab says we do all of this for our people and for the cities of our God. It is our goal to help each other. But we have to ask the question, well, help each other do what? And the answer is benefit God's people. No Christian team lives for itself alone. John and I have come across too many ministers who are egocentric, who will set themselves up as fine orators, great preachers, who love to occupy pulpits and draw great crowds. We see that particularly here in Wales. That is not what Christian ministry is about. Christian ministry must strive for gospel humility, employ diversification, live with mutual helpfulness, maintain the strength not of ourselves but of God. And why? To benefit God's people. We are in this as a church, not to make Moriah Baptist Church a great church. We are in it to bring glory to God and to benefit the people who right now are queuing at the lights, waiting for the traffic to allow them through. For the people who are struggling to get to Tesco's to do their shopping. For the people who are irate as they try and wangle their way through the street outside. For those who give no regard to what you and I are doing right now. We exist for them. We are to reach them with the good news of Jesus. We are to do this for the people and for the cities of our God. It is not our first aim to please people, but it is to benefit them. Paul said, didn't he, am I trying to please men? If I were trying to please men, I would not be a servant of Jesus. John, I'm really excited at the possibility of working with you. You've been an inspiration to me over the 7 years that I've been back in Wales. You've been an example of godliness and of faithful and devoted service. But John, our goal together must be that Christ will be magnified in the people that we serve. That they might so live in their homes, so live at work, so live in their leisure, and so die, that Jesus would appear to all around them as a magnificent Saviour. That's what we're about. So John, and my ultimate goal for you as a church is that you magnify Jesus. And our practical goal as a means to that end is the advancement of the joy of your faith. I pray that God will work. There's one final characteristic of team ministry that Job illustrates, and it's surrender to God's sovereign guidance. He says, be strong, be of good courage. Let's fight bravely for our people and the cities of our God. But then he adds that little bit, well, the Lord will do what is good in his sight. And church, can I say this to you this morning? May the Lord do whatever seems good to him. Here in Moriah, I really do pray that. May we always approach our work as a church in that way. May you go to work tomorrow. May you go to the factory. May you go to the office. May you seek to serve the Lord through your administration or through your assembly line in a way that allows God to do what's right in his sight. I remember another team who surrendered themselves to God's will and to his sovereignty on one occasion. Their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Daniel chapter 3. Do you remember the story? They refused to bow down to the idol that Nebuchadnezzar had built, and they were threatened with death. They were going to be thrown into the furnace. And they said this, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from a fiery furnace. But he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image which you've set up." God is at work amongst us here. God is working his purposes out. We are called to be team. We are called to work together. John, let's be humble together. Let's diversify according to our varied gifts. Let's come to each other's aid whenever we need it. I think that'll be me calling on you more. Let's be strong. Let's be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Let's spend ourselves tirelessly for the benefit of these people. Let's give ourselves to the task for the advancement and the joy of this wonderful faith that we have. And finally, to John and to all of us as a church, may we all give to the wind our fear and abandon ourselves boldly and joyfully to the sovereign guidance of God here in this place. I pray that God will encourage us, build us up, and then we'll go back to that passage and we'll see how God brings team to work together.